The Singing Revolution was a series of events from 1987 to 1991 that led to the restoration of independence of the three Soviet-occupied Baltic states, Estonian, Latvian, and Lithuanian SSRs. The events contained the continuous singing of no longer banned patriotic songs in the streets and more. In Estonia, there were three main parties. One was the Heritage Society, which was established in 1987, and focused on spreading awareness about Estonia's history to gather support for Estonia's independence from the Soviet Union. Another was the Popular Front, or Ravariin, founded in 1988, wanted to reform Estonia into the self-government with a loose confederation of the Soviet Union. The National Independence Party, also established in 1988, was more radical than the other two organizations and demanded complete independence from the Soviet Union. The revolution started in 1987 when Estonian TV reported the USSR's plans to mine phosphorite in the northeastern part of the state. The government of Estonia, the Estonian Communist Party, had hid the plans from the public and lied to the Estonians about if they had a say before they approved the mining. The Estonians didn't like this because not only would it cause a lot of environmental damage, but the mines would also bring a mainly Russian workforce into their state, which would further threaten their culture. So, the Estonians protested, which was now much easier to do since the leader of the USSR, Mikhail Gorbachev, implemented a policy called glasnost, which was a policy of having more transparent government and basically freedom of speech. Gorbachev would not use forces to stop the protests. Their conjecture proved correct, as these protests successfully stopped the mining. About a year earlier, in the neighboring state of Latvia, it had become widely known of the Soviet Union's plans to build another hydroelectric power plant alongside its longest river, the Daugava. It had also been known that they had been planning to make a metro in Latvia's capital, Riga. Both of these projects, which were planned by the Russian capital of Moscow, would have led to the destruction of Latvian landscape and their culture and historical heritage. The press urged the public to protest against these decisions. So, on February 28, 1987, the Environmental Protection Club was founded. During the rest of the 1980s, the Environmental Protection Club became one of the most influential movements in the region and started to demand for Latvia's independence. In 1987, many organizations, primarily environmental ones, were founded. On June 3, 1988, the Sąjūdis, a social and political movement, was established. Some starters of this movement were members of the earlier mentioned environmental organizations, including Zigmas Vaisvila and Janotras Songaila. Initially, this organization supported the communist regime, but in the early fall of the same year, nationwide growth, it became an opposing force to the Communist Party of Lithuania, or CPL. The active nationalist opposition towards the communist regime culminated in various public protests. The most known one took place on October 28, 1988, which ended up with violent dispersal. The resulting public anger ended up causing resignations in the CPL, including the first secretary of the party. As the CPL leadership changed, decided to return things to the Lithuanian people. On October 21, 1988, they returned the Vilnius Cathedral, which was being used as an art museum, to the Catholic community. On November 18th, the national anthem of Lithuania and their tricolor flag were legalized. This officially replaced the flag and anthem of the LSSR. After that, the recognition of Lithuanian language as a state language happened. Though all these things were legalized, Lithuania was still not free. Here's where the singing part comes in. Before glasnost, Estonians could only sing Soviet songs, but now they could sing anything. And then, two guys named Alo Matisen and Yuri Liesment made a song called No Land is Alone, which talks about the connection all Estonians had. The song was an important prelude to the 5 key singing revolution songs. It soon became a national hit, and there was a huge wave of patriotism in Estonia. On September 11th, 1988, the Tallinn Song Festival hosted arguably the largest mass gathering Tallinn had ever seen. An estimated 300,000 people from across the country came together to sing patriotic songs. One of the main songs sung during the singing revolution is "The Baltics Are Waking Up." The interesting thing about this song is that it's trilingual in Estonian, Latvian, and Lithuanian. It is one of the main songs sung in the Baltic Way. On August 23, 1989, approximately 2 million people joined hands to form a human chain stretching 430 miles, connecting the three Baltic capitals, Tallinn, Riga, and Vilnius. The people were part of the Estonian Ravareen, Latvian Tautas Front, and the Lithuanian Sąjūdis. They were singing patriotic songs that Alo and Yuri made. This chain is known as the Baltic Way. This also marked the 50th anniversary of the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. The Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact was a non-aggression pact between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. It also included who would occupy the free countries of Poland, Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and Romania. These occupations were known as the spheres of influence. A week after signing the pact, Germany invaded Poland, starting World War II. In March of 1990, elections for the Supreme Soviet of the Latvian SSR took place, in which the supporters of independence won. In May of 1990, the new Supreme Soviet adopted a motion called the Declaration of Independence, which called for the restoration of the interwar Latvian state and the 1922 Constitution. However, in 1991, the pro-communist forces attempted to restore Soviet power. The Soviets used force, but the Latvians managed to stop the Soviets from reoccupying strategic positions. These events are known as the Days of Barricades. On January 13, 1991, 14 Lithuanian nonviolent protesters died and hundreds were injured linking arms and singing, protecting the Vilnius television tower and parliament from Soviet troops and tanks. This event is referred to as Bloody Sunday. Lithuania's Act of March 11, 1990, or Act of the Reestablishment of the State of Lithuania, led by Sąjūdis, restored the country's independence under its pre-1940 name, the Republic of Lithuania. It was the first Soviet state to declare and gain independence. On May 9, 1990, the ESSR changed its name to the Republic of Estonia. On March 3, 1990, 78% of Estonians voted for independence in a referendum. On August 20, 1991, the Estonian parliament declared Estonia's independence. On September 6, 1991, the Soviet Union recognized Estonia's independence. On August 31, 1994, the last Russian troops withdrew from Estonia. On August 22, 1991, Iceland announced the establishment of diplomatic relations with Estonia. They then became the first foreign country to formally recognize the fully restored independence of Estonia in 1991. Today, a plaque commemorating this event is situated on the outside wall of the Foreign Ministry. The plaque reads, "The country of Iceland was the first to recognize on the 22nd of August 1991 the restoration of independence of the Republic of Estonia." It reads this in Estonian, Icelandic, and English. From August 19th through the 21st, 1991, a failed Soviet coup d'etat happened in Moscow. Because of this failure on August 21st, Latvia took advantage of the Soviets' low credibility and declared full independence from the USSR. On September 6, 1991, the Soviet Union recognized the independence of Latvia. As of today, the three Baltic countries are peaceful and have protection from the EU and NATO. There are many museums throughout the countries, and many survivors of the revolution are alive. They still have their beautiful landscapes and nature and are definitely worth visiting.